Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, if you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article. Share on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use your headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised. So, where we left off, two sources cited by the commenter that we did not discuss in the proposed rule provide further evidence that the state of the heart behavioral techniques and psychotropic medicines are not always completely effective for all individuals who exhibit SIB or AB, and that further research would be helpful. For the love of God, do we need to go over this again? There is no one size fits all treatment program or medication for anyone who's neurodivergent. Okay? Because every single one of us share a diagnosis, but how that diagnosis impacts us is as different as night and day. Of course, not all medication is going to work. Of course, there may be some medication that works good for Sally, but puts Ben in a catatonic state. That's how medicine is. It impacts us differently based on genetic markers and a whole bunch of other things that I can't wrap my brain around. All right? That's why communicating with your doctor in regards to medication is so damn important. You can't just let them railroad you and then all of a sudden your kid's in a catatonic state. You got to talk to them. You can't get a proper medication to work for you the way that it does unless you engage in give and take with the doctor prescribing them to you. They are not psychic. They are not the end all be all. They are not omnipotent. They're not God. Okay? You got to talk to your doctors. I had one of those medications that completely ripped all of my emotions away from me and just kind of left me an empty shell. I told my doctor that. He changed the medication, and wouldn't you know it, problem solved. All right? You can't just blame big pharma for everything. You got to do your due diligence and don't even accept medication blindly. Look it up. Okay? My God. Notably, one of them concludes that outcome measures suggest a high degree of effectiveness for behavioral interventions for self injury, noting that the treatment failures may be underreported. In other words, what we find this day in the week for the blindly obvious. God, I'm sorry. I can't come up with better analogies today. I'm tired, folks. In the rest of the world, we understand that a lot of times a treatment program needs to be supplemented not with violence, but with medication. And believe it or not, folks, doctors are not actively out there prescribing meds to put autistics in a catatonic state. First of all, they would be sued back into the Stone Age. Their hospital would be sued back into the Stone Age. You have no idea how many hoops they all have to jump through just on a regular day to day basis. Okay? Their idea is not to dope up your kid to the gills. Stop it. You sound as unhinged as a flat earther. All right? The best way to pair when you're doing a medication along with a treatment program is that give and take. It's extremely important. The doctor is not the end all be all. Ask questions. Talk about what things you've noticed on the medication. If it looks like it is putting them in a catatonic state, for the love of God, you are the adult and the parent. Tell them no. And that something else needs to be tried and discuss how the side effects impacted your child so that you can find another medication that may actually work for them that doesn't have the same side effects. Or if it does, maybe it's in a more milder form. Okay? Although the PBS and multi-positive approaches may not be completely effective for every patient, the literature and experience of experts in the field indicate that these are generally successful, sometimes alongside pharmacotherapy. So essentially, when they are having those issues and the general treatment program is just not enough, the idea shouldn't mean that we need to revert to violence. A more reasonable and logical conclusion would be that we maybe need to start talking medication. That's real life. Pharma is not the boogeyman. If you don't want your kid doped up to the gills, tell your doctor that. If a medication is affecting your child in such a way, tell the doctor that. They cannot read your mind. If a medication isn't working, you need to say so. Don't just assume that the doctor just wants to dope up your kid so they don't have to deal with them. Because you want to know where these places make their money at? Insurance, visits, face to face interactions with the doctor. These are what are going to provide repeat visits, which, cynically said, brings in more revenue. Okay? It is actually detrimental. Hear me on this, detrimental to the doctor to simply throw pills at the problem. All right? And then lift their hands up. This is true regardless of the severity of the behavior targeted. There has been substantial progress in non-aversive treatments for SIB and AB, and the success rate for such interventions continue to improve. Thank you. We are constantly working on these treatment programs, folks. Tweaking, moving something here, moving something there, getting rid of something that is detrimental to the consumer. Okay? Medicine evolves. That's how this shit works. All right? The fact of the matter is, just because one treatment program doesn't work doesn't mean that another won't. And also, Big Pharma is not the boogeyman. And it is the doctor, not Big Pharma, that's that is prescribing the medication. It is your job as a parent to be in constant communication with said doctor, noting and maybe even keeping a journal of what you notice in regards to the side effects of the medication. That way, you can bring that with you to the doctor's appointment and get that medication changed. If we all stop this knee jerk us against them nonsense, we would get a hell of a lot more done in this world. This is true regardless of the severity. Oh, we already read that. So that's pretty self explanatory, right? For those that need that little extra when the positive behavioral reinforcement paired with other treatment programs doesn't work, medication can be life saving. Okay? And these people would have you convinced that they're just going to dope them and warehouse them. Where's the money in that, Karen? Where's the money in that? Sorry, but sometimes, folks, you got to follow the money. We're going to go ahead and close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So you know the drill. Please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit those comments. I appreciate your time. As always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you again in a few minutes. Bye bye, everyone.